If you are looking to add real estate investing to your portfolio, REITs are a great way to get started. Today, we're excited to have renowned REIT expert Brad Thomas with us. He's the founder of Moat Research and has actually authored 3 books all about real estate investing. Brad, it's so great to have you on our channel today. We're excited to share some of your top REIT stock picks with our viewers here on MarketBeat.
Sure. Well, I'll say, obviously, if I were going to recommend one REIT, I'll tell you which one it is, but I'm also going to give you a disclaimer. I would never own just one REIT. I think diversification is extremely important for any investor. But there's one company that I'm very, very bullish about today, and I do own the shares, full disclosure. This company is called Realty Income, and their ticker symbol is O, just one letter. They're based in California. They're a net lease landlord, and net lease means they own individual properties, freestanding properties, leased to companies like Dollar General or Walgreens or 7-Eleven. And they've got a massive portfolio. They're the largest net lease landlord in the world. So they have, thousands and thousands of properties scattered across all 50 states as well as Europe. They've expanded over the last few years into Europe. There are two kind of competitive advantage that I'll cite. Again, our company is called Moat Research, so we like to talk about competitive advantages. One of those is scale. I just mentioned the enormous size of the company. They've got a large footprint, which means their exposure to one individual tenant is very small. Their exposure to one tenant is about 3.5% of the portfolio. Give an example of how that's effective. During COVID, they have exposure to theaters and gyms, and of course, those two categories were really hurt hard during COVID. People couldn't go to the gym, and obviously people didn't go to the theaters during COVID. But this company still continued to deliver not only consistent earnings, but they were able to grow their earnings even during COVID, and they were able to grow. They grew their dividend during COVID. So that demonstrates that they have a very broad diversification. Which when some companies don't pay rent or they do have problems within their portfolio, they're able to continue to deliver on their promises to investors, which is to pay dividends. By the way, this company, they're actually trademarked the monthly dividend company. So they pay monthly dividends, and they also increase very consistently. They're a dividend aristocrat. They've increased dividends every year as a public company for 30 years in a row. So I think scale is one that I mentioned. The other competitive advantage, is their cost of capital. They work very hard to achieve an A-rated balance sheet. So they have a very low cost of debt. They're also able to utilize currency in Europe, which is actually lower cost debt than they have in the U.S. In terms of valuation, which is arguably the most important part of our research at Moat Research, is to study and really understand, what is the margin of safety, in the words of Benjamin Graham. And so we looked at the company's valuation, what they're trading at currently, based on multiple valuation metrics. And then we look at, kind of how they've been traded historically, how they've traded with the peer group. And we find them extremely, extremely cheap right now. A lot of that is just sentiment. It's overhang due to, rising rates. It's an overhang due to the fact we've seen a lot of these headlines with loans that are becoming due. Again, Realty Income has no problem with debt maturities, hence the A-rated balance sheet I mentioned. And so, I think that in terms of a value perspective, we think there's a really good total return setup in place right now for Realty Income to generate not only consistent dividends and growing dividends, but a really nice and attractive total return setup going forward. So that's kind of probably one of my number one picks right now, and I'm happy to touch on some more if you'd like.
Yeah, why don't you give us a quick list of maybe another top 3 REITs that people can look into? I really appreciate the big in-depth analysis, and I think you can find a lot more analysis just like this on Moat Research. I know you do this for a lot of different companies and stocks and REITs out there, but why don't you give us your quick list of your other top 3 picks of REITs to look into?
Yeah, another one that is kind of a close peer to Realty Income is a company called Vici, VICI. Vici is also a freestanding property landlord, but very different from Realty Income. The average size of their properties are massive. They own, as I mentioned, casinos, the Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, another number of casinos on the strip there in Las Vegas. They've also expanded beyond casinos into other kind of experiential type properties, investing in amusement parks and bowling alleys and things like that. So again, this is a newer company. They haven't been around as long. Their track record is not as impressive as the one I just mentioned with Realty Income. But we think that opportunity is really in good place. We interview management teams of all the companies we research. We think they got a really good management team. They've been able to reduce their cost of capital. They were the quickest REIT to obtain the S&P 500 status than any REIT ever in the history. So they're growing at a massive rate. They're also undervalued. And again, that's a way to have access to some of these very iconic properties. So I think Vici would be one that I would consider. The other one I like a lot is Prologis. Prologis, again, looking at kind of the Prologis PLD is the ticker there. Prologis is one of the largest warehouse or logistics landlords in the world. They own properties all over U.S. and many other countries. Again, look at citing some of those same competitive advantages that I just spoke about in Realty Income. They also have an A-rated balance sheet. They have massive scale, and they're also trading at a discount. One of the things I like about Prologis, as well as the other industrial companies, is their growth prospects are much higher. Realty Income is only projected to grow by around 4% per year, and Prologis is going to grow by smaller double digits, so maybe 10, 11, 12% per year. So you've got more growth opportunity, but you don't have that. The dividend is not going to be as high as it is with Realty Income. So I think those companies are really attractive. The shopping center space is really attractive. I like the mall sector. Is kind of an interesting place to play. Simon is the big, the big, 1,000-pound gorilla, if you will. They are also A-rated, great management team, and again, they're the leading mall owner in the world. They also own outlets as well. So ticker symbol is SPG. I like Tanger. That's the pure play outlet center REIT, ticker SKT. But they're extremely expensive right now. So I would wait for a pullback with Tanger. Again, they've done a great job getting that share price up, but I would not recommend owning shares in Tanger today, just given what I think is the lofty valuation.
Well, those are all some really great stock tips for our viewers to look into. Thank you again for the great picks today and the analysis of more of what's going on in this sector. Where can people find more of information from you and get more info from Wide Moat Research?
Absolutely. Our website is right there, widemoatresearch.com. And, we're really excited about 2025. I think there's going to be some really good opportunities. And again, our mantra for the firm is protecting principal at all costs. We like to talk about swan investing. That's sleeping well at night. So I think, by looking at our research at Wide Moat Research, I think that's definitely a way to sleep well at night. And we try to avoid the volatility. And again, principal preservation is really important. So valuation, I can't underestimate the importance of valuation.
Great. Well, thank you again so much for your time today. We appreciate you coming on Market Beats, and you can find more information about REITs and other stocks right on our channel here. Thanks again for joining us today, everyone. And as always, happy investing.